great to see you all here. Thank you all for coming, and thank you to everybody watching. What an amazing show today is going to be. So today we are here to talk about authenticity. It's been a very interesting topic, lots of people wanting to get involved and sharing their opinions, and I think it's open to interpretation. That's why we're here. So I started the show to demonstrate the positive benefits of transformation, to help others see what is possible for choosing to find themselves, to show the world that transformation is not as hard as it is rewarding. And because I was fortunate enough to connect with so many amazing souls out there changing lives, and I'm talking about all the guests on the show, as well as the audience too. The experts on the show are, from my perspective, all heart-centered, open-minded, wise, and kind. And they are all giving back to the greater good with the main motive of creating a more harmonious life for everyone. It's an absolute pleasure and an honor to see the audience growing, sharing their wisdom and experience, and so many people enjoying the discussions. If you're not already a member of our Facebook group, then please search Conscious Creators Community Group on Facebook, or connect with me, Matt Love, and I will invite you to the group. So thanks for tuning in and partaking. Please comment below or on the side, depending on how you're watching the video, and tell us what you thought of the show and your own experiences, and any questions you may have if we don't explain anything well enough. We aim to respond to each and every one of you. So I hope you get as much enjoyment out of the show as I do from hosting it. I'm Matt Love. I'm an internet presence and tech mentor and consultant, and you can find me at mattlove.business or mattlove.creator on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. So let's get on with the show. So let me, first of all, I'd like everybody to introduce themselves. And if you could answer the question, what does it mean to be authentic to you? So Sil, you're first on my screen.
Brilliant, brilliant. It means to be real, but let me introduce myself quickly. I'm Sil Sebastian. I run Way of Impeccability, which is our life change program. And it's all about being real. And yeah, I mean being real as in being deliberate, which is when you are being real and you have no holds, no bars, no keeping back. And what you can do, you can write off on your conscience. That's when you're being authentic to me. So being real, being authentic, living in harmony with your conscience, no regrets, in other words, that's being authentic.
Love that, really good one. So thank you. And Brenda, you are next on my screen.
Hi, I'm Brenda Johnson. I'm a shamanic energy practitioner, a Reiki master teacher, a Qigong instructor, and I'm on my own journey of healing. And authenticity to me means your spirit, your soul, your authentic self. And personal growth is just becoming you and realizing that you're the only one that is you in the universe. You're unique, but you're also part of the one, and you deserve to find the true you. And that's
brilliant. Thank you, Brenda. And the fabulous Cher, you are next on my screen. You're unmuted for a change, by the way.
Yay. I am the fabulous Cher Unbound. Authenticity. Oh, wait, what do? I'm a trauma recovery specialist and an unbound living facilitator. What does that mean? In its most authentic self, that to me, it's me choosing to live as deliberately, intentionally, purposely as possible, accepting all of my most challenging aspects of myself and all of my most lovable ones, and just trying to always bring truth to those as much as I can every single day. So that's me.
Awesome. Thank you, Cher. And Gabe, you're next on my screen.
Hello, everybody. This is Gabriel with Stress Relief for Teachers on Facebook. I am an NLP, EFT, Emotional Freedom Techniques practitioner, and I help people get their energy, their energetic traps, flowing so that you can actually think better, be creative. So being authentic, well, to me, that is all about aligning with your values, because authenticity is an elevated emotion. It's above gratitude, and it's being kind, being considerate, being aware of who I am, who you are, getting past one's ego per se. And once we do that, things really start to thrive in a person's life, and being honest is something that I say a lot. Honesty is an elevated emotion. So once we are honest with ourselves, we can be honest with a lot of people. We make mistakes, granted, as long as they're not with a bad intention. Everybody makes mistakes. As long as we can own up to our mistakes, that's being authentic. And having being impeccable with your word, being honest with how you speaking with integrity. Those are things that make me and a lot of people on the planet authentic. And it's part of the process, is a growth process, because we have to unlearn our ego before we get to an authentic self. Be able to share that with people, that's more magnificent than anybody can imagine. So that's my take on authenticity.
Thank you, Gabe. That's awesome. A really good one. And John,
Hello, thanks. This is a very important topic these days. I'm John. I'm in Latvia, and helping people to create a kind of an inner authenticity by connecting with all of their minds. But I would say that a big part of it is what you do. I mean, that's where it really matters. That's the rubber hit the road moment of, it's not only being who we are, but doing what we do. And I think that action is important, because when you do things as you feel them, as you see them, as they're needed, then you're going to become more authentic in yourself in a sort of a circular way. And other people will see you and will be challenged to become more authentic. So what I've done in the past, I've sort of asked two questions when I do almost everything. One is, why did I do that exactly? Because we tend to do things kind of automatically. And then sometimes I say, who says so? If I'm told that something is a certain way, okay, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Let's look into it. So there's a lot of exploration, as Gabe was saying.
Yeah. Beautiful, really. Yeah, a lot of exploration. I like it. And Jennifer, you are next on my screen.
Thank you, Matt. Hello, I'm Jennifer Burns. I am a certified master hypnotherapist, NLP practitioner, and my website is magicmindswellness.com. I think authenticity is, well, number one, I agree with everything that everyone just said already. But it also has a lot to do with honesty, like self-honesty. And it's about, mindfully becoming aware. I loved like the comparison that was made of like getting past the ego first, and then you can become your authentic self, because we don't know why sometimes we are conditioned or what seems to be naturally inclined to respond one way to something. But it's about knowing who you are first, accepting it, and then living your truth, because we're all like little puzzle pieces of a gigantic puzzle, and we're all shaped a certain way, and we all have our place on that board. And when you just be your true self, your true shape, your true form, whatever you were supposed to be, very easy to find your place in the world like that. It happens very naturally. You don't even have to try. But when a person's not authentic, with themselves and others, that can bring up some struggles. So I think being, authentic is being true to yourself, being honest with yourself, and being honest with other people.
Yes,
That's
I like it.
That's all I got.
Yeah, no, it's really good. Yeah, and awesome. And Don, do you want to add anything? Oh, you're mute.
Yeah, I could add something. Authenticity is, by definition, it's about not being fake. So being as real as possible. So the scariest thing, I think, for everyone is probably being able to speak your truth. So being really authentic is being able to speak your truth.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. Thank you, Don. And Anthony, are you able to share with us?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Yeah.
Awesome. Hi, I'm Anthony. I'm a holistic peak performance and flow state coach based in the UK. And my take on authenticity is it's allowing yourself and your life to become the expression of your uniqueness. We all are unique in how we come into the world, and because of that, and because our lives are so unique, there may be a lot of similarities with other people, but no one will have the combination of skills and experiences that you have. No one ever. Because even if they do at some point later, no one will have it at the time that you have it. And so for me, I also want to resonate with what Don said, and add that it's about no longer holding back anything. So yeah, that's my take on authenticity, and it's a lifelong journey.
Thank you, Anthony. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. With the lifelong journey for sure, 100%. And Sander, you're next on my screen.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, my name is Sander. I'm a embodiment coach and body worker, and my website is primefire.nl. Authenticity, there are so many that's already been shared by everybody that I do agree with. And how I see authenticity. Authenticity is being fully your authentic self, meaning you are not showing, or you're not putting a mask or a wrap, or you're not dressing up who you are. You're expressing your own essence into the world without any filtering placed on it by your ego or what you think somebody else should think of you. So yeah.
Brilliant, love that. Thank you. And Paul, you are next on my screen.
Hello, I'm Paul. I'm from the UK, a little place called Plymouth. I'm a shamanic healer and teacher. I also own a pagan and witchcraft shop. And I help people to uncover their life script, the limiting stories that we tell about ourselves that hold us back from living a life full of joy and freedom. Yeah, so authenticity. I think the word authenticity is often battered around. I think it's often used as a shield to cover ourselves. I think sometimes that people use this word, I'm being authentic, often as a way to be permissible for certain actions. But what does it actually mean? And I agree with Sil. Being authentic is actually being real. It's being real to who you are. And it involves stripping back the layers of stories that we tell about ourselves. The false stories, the limiting stories, the ones that we tell ourselves that we're not good enough, and all those other ways that we prevent ourselves from living. And I'm gonna an integral life, living with integrity. So it's also freedom from the external stories that are placed upon us by others, the rules of society about who we should be and what we should do, depending on our social economic status, our gender, etc. All those rules that society place on us. And I think the opposite of not being authentic actually would be out of alignment. So all of us have a true self, and many people will give you a description of what it means to be your true self. They'll say it's your higher self. I say it's the inner child that's been stunted by years of trauma. Remove all of that, and there's your true self. So being this authentic actually is about being in alignment with who you are, making sure that if you're going to speak something, that it's actually, you can feel it in your core, that you're not just playing lip service. Oh, I've just joined a new spiritual kind of community or idea, so I'm going to project myself into that and talk from that. But actually everyone who listens to me can tell that I'm not being congruent with what I'm saying. That for me is what authenticity is.
Nice. I like the feeling in your core. Yeah, I think that's a really, really good point there. Anna.
Good morning or good evening, wherever you are. I'm Anna. I'm originally from Portugal, but I'm based in California at the moment. I am an artist, a teacher, and I guess a guide for people. I use visual art to help people see their true selves, come into their authenticity. And for me, authenticity is really about radical self-love, the ability to see yourself with your own eyes and peel off all of those filters that you've been given by the circumstances of your life, your growing up. And it's not an easy thing because you have to actually accept yourself with warts and all and love your warts. So it's a journey. It's absolutely a journey to be able to understand that we are constantly bombarded by visions, visuals of what we are required to be in society, wearing all these masks every day. You're the corporate person, or you're the caregiver, but really you are more and more beautiful than all of those masks. And if you are able to look in your eyes in the mirror and see with your heart, with your true heart, you realize that all your imperfections are actually just perfect for you.
I like it. Very, very nice. Yeah, looking into your heart. Rita?
Hello, I'm Rita. I work with different kinds of stuff. Last 2 years, it's been a lot from the galactic. And also the shamanic. For me, to be authentic is to believe in yourself, to follow your heart and go for your dreams. And to do that without any interference from anyone, it's hard, but it's truly worth it. And then you also know who you are. When all these noises around say you cannot do that, they try to stop you, but if you go on, you will come to your goal. So, no one else can take your dreams or your heart or your feelings. And if you follow that inner noise to guide you on a journey, for me, that's enough. So, a lot of times, even now, I hear, oh, you are wrong, you are stupid or something. Your brain are small or whatever people say. And it's like, okay, you think my feelings are wrong? And then the conversation stops, because no one can take your feelings away or your dreams. And for me, that is the goal, to follow that, the vision.
Nice. Yeah, so it's true. Nobody can steal your feelings or your dreams other than you. Very, very true. Okay, that was awesome. And so I just had mine was pretty simple. It was very similar to nearly everybody's, and I think everybody's is valid. Well, actually, I'm just going to quickly say, so authenticity, I love the definition of it, is the quality of being authentic, which then leaves you open to. So then you have to go, and of course, and authentic is of undisputed origin and not a copy, genuine, And so it's actually one of those definitions that's very nice. And I think that word specifically at the end, genuine, is a nice word because it encompasses everything. And I mean, mine was to be true to yourself. I mean, Jennifer nearly said it word for word. And that means being honest with others, which is being real. And it's something that evolves with you. You know, I think it definitely has to evolve with you. There are so many layers. I mean, when you look at how we learn as people, how can, you know, from the childhood to the time we're actually able to make decisions for ourselves, there's always going to be layers to strip back, the way I see it. So why is it important for our personal and professional growth to be authentic? Anyone want to answer?
Coherency.
Coherency. I like that.
Yes, because we can be as authentic as we like, and which means to me also it's living without bullshit. Hence my change of hashtag there, right? And if you can't handle the word bullshit, then you need BS. Well, how authentic are you in dealing with bullshit if you got to hide it as BS? So this is very key. But I wanted to say, though, we can be as authentic as we like, but if we don't have a coherency in who we are and what we think and feel and believe, then we're all over the show. And we might be inauthentic, not deliberately, but inadvertently. So we need a coherency. We need to have ourselves together, in other words, to really be able to live that authenticity, not just try and be authentic, but to actually be it. And need that coherency. Yes?
Nice. Yes. I like that a lot. John?
Yeah, well, when you asked about the advantages, and I think one huge advantage is that authentic people are working towards a long-term growth. Whereas if we're constantly battered by forces from around us, that's when we tend to not be authentic, and it's when we tend to kind of lose ourselves. So I think that the long-termism rather than short-termism is a big benefit, because then you're building constant foundation. And even when you make mistakes, doesn't matter, you're still growing and learning. So it's better to make a mistake authentically than to do what everybody else says is right without authenticity.
Yeah, great point. Very great point. Jennifer, you were next.
I think the biggest benefit of authenticity is that it keeps us where we belong, because only through behaving authentically and doing what is truly best for us and what we truly want, that's how we manifest the situations, the relationships we want, the job opportunities we want, like all of the opportunities that we want. We have to come to the party as ourselves. You know, anytime any type of a relationship is formed and one person in the relationship isn't being authentic, it may work to attract the other person. That inauthentic behavior will work. Like you see people doing it in the dating world and stuff like that, you know, like pretending to like something that someone else likes. Just, yeah, you'll attract the person, but what did you really successfully attract? You attracted someone that you're not truly compatible with. So ultimately, neither person involved is going to be happy with that. So being authentic, the biggest benefit of is it keeps you where you belong, and it keeps you in the place that's best for you, the place that you will enjoy the most and have the least amount of problems in, is the authentic place. That's what I think the biggest advantage of it is.
I actually really like the fact it keeps us where we're meant to be or where we belong. That's really great point there. Gabe.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm going to reference back to what Sil said about BS, you know, but I use the letters BS as belief system, because our BS is full of BS. And, you know, being authentic is, to me, is absolute. It has to be absolute for people, because if we're going through some kind of breakthrough or transformation, you know, it has to be absolute. And finding one's authentic self is all about that. And once we taste that, and because we do taste it, you know, we're already aligning with a greater purpose. Whether we know what that purpose is or not, it doesn't matter. What we do know is that we are tasting a specific breakthrough or alignment that just conforms with our genuine self. You know, it's who we become and who we want to become. And why not keep moving forward, you know, with that instead of, you know, working on old programs that don't serve us at all.
Yes, yeah, good point there. Paul.
I think I would bleh, sorry, tripping up my own words there. Whenever you go on a process of growth, right? The process of growth is nothing if you don't demonstrate some kind of change. So, like for example, if you're working on like healing your dysfunctional relationships, for example, it would be for nothing if you didn't at the end of that then actually went on and started forming some better relationship habits. If you continue to do the same old thing, then your process of growth is irrelevant. So in order, it's important for the process of growth, whether it be business or personal, for you to be able to demonstrate the changes that you've made, or else it just becomes for nothing, and you end up falling back into those old self-sabotaging behaviors. And there's always this thing, isn't there? This idea of what does it take in order to change your belief or habit? And you hear different neuroscientists and different kind of change-making coaches, they'll tell you something different, like 21 days or 76 times the way you do, doing the same thing will change your habit. I mean, whether or not any of those are ever true or not is debatable. The idea is that repetition is the mother of all learning, right? So again, in order to demonstrate the changes you're making, you have to be authentic to that change. You have to be in alignment with that change. You have to continually show up and be that change in order for it to mean anything. So at the end of the day, whether it's professional, whether it's business, the showing up, being the new person with this new skill, that's why being authentic or being real or integral, whatever the multitude of different words we could use to describe this same thing. Thank you, English language. That's for me, that's why it's really important.
Brilliant, love that. Yeah, there is many words for it, it's true. And share.
Okay. When you were talking about the benefits of authenticity, for me, the biggest word that comes to mind right away is credibility. For me, it was for me, it was my experience that I had lived all my life as this false self with this version of who I thought I was. And as I started to learn more about who I really am and start peeling back those layers, the more credible I started to find myself, which led into self-trust, which led into a whole bunch of self-worth and confidence. So the benefit, I feel anyways, about authenticity itself is just, gosh, it's just that whole feeling of feeling good about yourself for once. And when you can get that, and in those little bits and moments, to me, that's, striving for those moments. And even if those days have come that you're not okay, days, weeks, hours when you're not okay, you still know deep down inside, you're being who you are. You're being your most authentic self, to accept and acknowledge it. It's not an okay day today. That brings a whole lot of value to your credibility and to your self-worth.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I could, blown away a little bit. So Anna, you're next.
Thank you, Matt. I love everything that everybody's saying. In terms of the value for you personally and professionally, for me, is about trust. Meaning, if you are authentic, if you come into any relationship fully as yourself, that creates trust. Personally, it's wonderful because your friends then know who you are. They know what to expect from you. And professionally, of course, it's to be trusted is very valuable because your clients also know who you are and what they can expect from you. And that includes understanding that you're not perfect and you do fall short sometimes of your promises and your commitments, but to acknowledge it and to own it goes a long way. Because then you can atone for it and you can maybe grow from it. and makes little adjustments to avoid those shortfalls. But nobody's perfect. And if you can accept that fact, I think that creates trust with yourself and also with others.
Yeah, I mean, you took the words out of my mouth there when you were talking. I think nobody's perfect, and I think the striving to be perfect definitely stops people from reaching their authenticity.
Yes.
Sander.
Yeah, so many. I lost my train of thought, but so there's been said so much already. So yeah, for me, why it is important to in every walk of life, be it professional or private, in your personal life, when you're authentic, you're showing yourself and being yourself without the and being yourself creates what Anna already said. It creates trust because you're not masking yourself up with what you think the other person wants to see. And if you start masking yourself up, people will notice that eventually. Some will not, but those people are also already masking themselves up. So it's like a theater of masks and not being authentic. Those attract each other as well. But if you are authentic and you show up as yourself and you show up for yourself, you can also show up for the other person, if it's professional or even private. Then there's how do you say it? There is this human interaction going on a deeper level.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, really nice. Rita.
Yes, it's almost like I continue where Sander let go. But I believe that we are all living in a kind of hologram to find back to ourselves. A lot of soul fragments. Some people we meet want to keep you down like they are the opposite. And some people bring you up. And it's for ourselves to navigate. And this we do through our feelings. We cannot do that through our brain. And for me, there is no failure. There is no failure. Everything is in progress. And if there are people who try to keep you away from your authentic self, okay, that's people maybe, or energies you have to get rid of, to heal in yourself because you are reacting or something feels wrong. So I think that's much of the work we are doing on this journey back to the whole soul, the higher soul, the higher mind, the higher heart. And every day is a new journey. The sun comes up every day. So for me, it's no failure. It's just a learning in progress. And it's also that for the other people. For the other people, to don't get stuck in anger or it's just, okay, that was not for me. But release, forgive, and go on it. Keep on going for your goal. That's the most important. No one else can take that from you.
Keep on going. Yeah, for sure.
Yes, and into the wholeness, to the puzzle.
Into our wholeness, for sure.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Rita. Sil?
I want to bring in 3 R terms that
Okay.
are very pertinent here to benefits, right? And we've got resonance, and we've got recrimination and regret. So to me, authenticity is when you connect to what you resonate with, what's you, what really matters to you, what are your predilections in life, really what's important to you. So that resonance creates authenticity, or connects you to authenticity, really cool. And the flip side, when you aren't being authentic, then you end up living with recriminations and regrets. And this we want to avoid at all costs. So for me, authenticity is very connected to impeccability. They're very closely related. And impeccability at its basic core definition is best use of energy. And when you're not being real, when you're living with bullshit, well, how are you using your energy well? You're going to end up having recriminations and regrets. The things aren't going to work for you because, man, it's really hard to keep up all the bullshit. Not if you're successful, it takes inordinate energy. It's not worth the effort. So this is not ideal. Plus, if you're not being authentic and you say, well, I got to do something, I got to make a decision. If you don't do your homework, if you're not diligent, if you're not scrupulous, if you're not conscientious, and then the thing turns out to be complete and utter crap, well, then who's to blame? You and you only. But if you've been authentic, if you've been impeccable, in other words, then you're going to say, hey, you know what? I'm sorry, that this was a screw up. I did everything that I possibly could. So be it. It's just the way it turned out. Right? I don't have to really have these deep regrets about it. I'm not happy that it may have happened, but I'm not going to walk around with self-blame. And this is the problem. When you're inauthentic, you end up with blame and shame and guilt and regret and all of these horrible things. So it's a terrible way to live. Sorry, Matt, I know I'm going a little bit longer, but I want to address Roy asked two really powerful questions.
Yeah, I've got them here, but you're welcome to.
He said, who gets to decide what is being authentic? And I responded in comments. I said, you, Roy, you and you alone. The individual and the individual alone is the final arbiter of truth. We can't get away from that. You may believe that somebody's telling you the truth. Well, I'm choosing to believe that person. I am choosing to believe them. We don't even realize we do that, and we're making a choice to believe, but we always do. Therefore, it's always you. Always, always, always. You're the only one who can decide it, which is why we want to have that coherency within us, so that we have some tools that enable us to make this choice and this decision as to what's authentic legitimately. And then he also said, he asked if you have to be open to your vulnerability in being authentic. Absolutely. Absolutely. Being closed and not acknowledging your vulnerability actually makes you more vulnerable. It's a myth that, oh, I don't want to reveal my. No, all you're doing is you're making that vulnerability a greater danger, right? Take any military commander talking about, like, you're the lord of the castle, right? And you got the barbarians looking to invade you. Well, if you want to ignore that south wall that's you didn't get to repair because, well, you had too many parties, you didn't want to spend the money there. Okay, well, then you got a vulnerability. That's where you're going to get attacked. But if you're going to ignore that, well, then you're not going to be prepared to be attacked there. So you have to acknowledge your vulnerabilities. You absolutely have to. Can't get away from it. Yeah. This makes you more, makes you less inauthentic, in other words. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. You have to accept yourself as you are right now. And John.
Yeah, well, to follow on from what Sil was saying, I think that a sure sign of authenticity is passion, because it's really about respect from the inside out. It's respect for yourself. It's respect for what you're working with. You're not just doing things because it's easy or something. You're doing them because it's real. And so I think that people pick up on that very quickly. In fact, more than we probably realize at some level. And so I think that you really become a leader, and you will be respected by the people when you begin with that respect for yourself and care about what you're working with.
Yeah, thank you, John. Thank you. That's awesome. So I'm just going to quickly read some comments from the audience. So Joey's commented that living authentic to her is being in that space between who I've been and who I'm becoming, with the least attachment to roles, conditioning, labels, and with the most presence, truth, and courage. She also said a benefit she's found is that she can surrender to just being one true self and not trying to be multiple versions for multiple purposes or people, which she found exhausting as a teen and a young person. And And then Roy's commented, we act out different roles in our lives: mum, dad, doctor, nurse, teacher, etc. Are we being authentic, acting out in these roles? And I think personally, Roy, on that question there, yeah, we're trying them on. I think this is how we find out who we really are as we grow up. And I think Karen, actually, I've jumped to Karen's comment. She's put, in the past, we can be the person we considered people wanted or expected from us. The recognition of that status enables us to become authentic. So I think, you know, when we play those roles, we become authentic. And just to say hi, mum. And so then Joey's also put, the beauty is if you show up as your full integrated self to all these roles, then the roles are defined by you and not the other way around. So really, thank you for your comments. Please ask any questions you have, say anything you want in the comments. We're here for you, as well as to have an amazing conversation. Sander.
Yeah, just a really short one. Authenticity is you doing you without any excuses or without any hesitation. You are doing you.
Yeah.
And you're not doing anyone else. You're just doing you. With your unique you. That's what you do.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. I think we do have to find out who we are as we grow up. It's NLP in practice. Read that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's like that. I think also, or believe that we have to take the power back to ourselves, because especially women in this society is learned up to take care of everyone else, to listen to everyone else. We are giving away so much energy, and a lot of women, especially women, are stuck in the past. In bad memories, in traumas, they are going backwards instead of seeing the sun every day. So to take all of your energy, actually, to go back and bring it into yourself, I believe also is very necessary to actually know what's you and what's not you. And to observe also what people say, and to change these energies under the way as we go this journey, because people outside we cannot control, but we can control our reactions. And if it feels bad, okay, transform it and go, but don't bring energy to these people or these situations, because it has nothing to do with you. It's just an outside energy. If it not fits you, okay, take it away. As how I navigate, it's more like, okay, you are a person, but you are also an energy. So what are you actually giving me?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, and share.
Okay. Everybody has got such amazing answers, and my thoughts are just all over the board right now because of all this wonderful dialogue that's going on, this conversation. For me, authenticity, every time I think about it, it's part of the core of what, for me anyways, my name Unbound, where that comes from. Being a survivor, having been a survivor, and I love this, survivor turned thriver, and now I'm unbound. What that means to me is this, is I had to acknowledge that there was a real person in me, not the person that everybody else wanted me to be, not the labels that I was given, not the the names that I was called, not the beliefs that I formed from childhood and carried into adulthood, and not certainly what my late husband wanted me to be or believed I was, friends, any of that. Authenticity for me has brought to my life through the process of self-discovery. Thank you very much to my dear friend Sil. Through self-discovery, I learned what authenticity is for me. I've tried to describe it to other people, but all I can say is that it began with my self-discovery process, the process of awareness. Then I moved into acknowledging that there's good and bad parts of me, and there's exciting parts of me, and then accepting both, accepting all of them, and then appreciating all of it, admitting, application, all of it, all like great big fun favorite A terms that all come under the umbrella of authenticity. So it's kind of where I want to leave that, but for me, it does touch deeply to me about when it comes to being a survivor of any abuse, of any trauma stories that we have. So finding out that we are not, I'm not going to say we, I'm going to say I am not that story that I was raised with.
Yeah, we are not our stories, definitely. And I'm constantly asking myself, is that what I really want? Is that what I want? You know, because yeah, it's hard to know it with so many years and meeting so many people and doing so many things and having to do things. Often we don't start with choice. So Don.
Hey, everybody. Yeah, John was speaking earlier about there being respect, you know, respecting the self and respecting others. And yeah, I want to talk about like the responsibility that sort of comes when people start becoming authentic. You know, they take responsibility for the outcome, for planning it, for thinking about it, and seeing, you know, if it goes wrong, that it goes well. And in, you know, that's a great blessing for people being authentic. Additionally, if you're authentic and you're with other authentic people, then you can get, you know, excellent synergy happening. Because, you know, the consciousness is of a person. It's from many places. And if someone's being authentic, then they're in touch with that whole life experience, and yeah, they can bring whatever to the table, even humor, you know.
Yeah, and we've got plenty of that here from time to time, and what an authentic group this is, and the synergy going on in all these meetings. I love it. So really great points there, Don. Sorry, did I cut you off? Or
that was it. Yeah,
brilliant.
That's responsibility, creativity, and yeah, the commitment that people have to what they're doing.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, beautiful. Brenda.
Hi. Yes, for personal growth, I believe that when you came here as a spirit, you came here to do something. You had an intention, and the education system and our upbringing, we've gotten limited beliefs from other people and the way that we should act, or other people have projected on us. And I think it's important to get back to your true self, because there's only one Brenda Johnston, there's only going to be one Matt Love, there's only going to be one of all of us here, and we're kind of robbing the world by not living to our true potential, which you can't do when you're fake. You have to be the weird person in the room. You have to not try and be like everybody else. The cookie cutter kind of pigeonholing upbringing that we have in school and then in work and so many other things, you have to kind of break free of that and be the weird person. And people think, well, I'm going to lose my friends. Well, you're going to lose your fake connections, and you're going to find like-minded, heart-centered people like we have found here, that I would give up 100 fake friends for one of the people I've met here. You know, it's just being true to yourself and just taking the courage to take that little step. And as we've all said before, we're all here, we've all gone through it, and we're all here to guide anyone or help anyone or give them encouragement or anything, because we all did it. We all took the jump, the leap of faith, and we're all so much happier and joyful for it. So I highly recommend it. I love it.
Yeah, the real good point there. I mean, about the friends, real friends. And I think people that support you, care for you, and really accept you is a crucial thing. Yeah, I think so. Sil.
I really like alliteration and you know, words. I got another 3 C words: crap, cleaning, convenience. That's authenticity. It cleans and it gives you that convenience. And Ron was asking again, is this like one of the most important virtues, or are there any more important? I can't really think of anything that's more important. I don't even see it as a virtue. I see it as an absolute essential. It's impeccability, authenticity, impeccability, very closely related. How do you live without it? You just end up living in the shit pile, right? That's it. Sorry, that's where you end up, with being inauthentic. It's just bullshit on top of bullshit on top of bullshit. And you end up living in a shit pile. And if you think that's cool, okay, well, enjoy. Not for me.
No, absolutely. And what I wanted to say is one of the great things is that Facebook seems to be really lenient on swearing, but they've removed all religious beliefs. So, you know, we're no problems with language here.
I take remiss with the word bullshit, because it's the one word which you have to say, because if you don't say it, if you say, oh, that's just BS, then you're bullshitting. See?
Yeah,
you don't want to face the awful truth. You're not being authentic by dealing with bullshit. There's no other word for it. Sorry. Yeah.
No worries. And everybody, and also because so many people use the word BS as belief system now, there's a big confusion going on there. So Anna.
I'm sitting in my car, I'm parked, and I'm laughing so much with the beautiful, authentic silliness in this group. And I'm gonna use Sil's love for alliteration, and I'm going to say that authenticity really is about curiosity, compassion, and courage. I had a really interesting experience these past 2 weeks with figuring out who I truly am if I remove everything that I do. Because so we grow up and we take on these roles and we decide I'm a doctor, I'm a politician, I'm a teacher, I'm a podcaster. And then those things can be taken away. Those things that we do can be taken away. And then what happens? Who are you truly without those things? And what I figured out, becoming your authentic self takes work, because it takes the courage and the curiosity and the compassion to investigate all of these conundrums that show up in being human. And I realized that if I tap into that person I was as a little person, as a little girl, or a little boy, if you're a man, before all of these labels and all of these expectations were layered on you, you will find your authentic self. And for me, it was all about that curiosity I had, that zest for life, for joy. And it was all about my heart. So if everything else were taken away, my authentic self is my heart. So if I always tap into my heart, my true heart, I show up as Anna, that came into this world complete and authentic and beautiful.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And yes, you did for sure, Anna. And Sander.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, what I also wanted to share is if you are authentic, you will attract other authentic people towards you. And what happens when you're authentic and people around you are authentic, it motivates the whole group or the group you're in to, what Anna explained, tap more into your own authenticity. That's what I wanted to add. And it also adds a little bit to what Sil was sharing earlier, is if you go look for the bullshit, you'll find the bullshit. And if you're okay with it, you're okay with it. But if you are looking for your own authenticity and you are looking for people that are authentic, you will find them, but it will also help you to work on, or not work on, but discover more of your own authenticity.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think when we become authentic, we almost start to attract authentic people. Sil.
Two key points came up again from the chat comments here. Somebody asked, it may have been Roy again, or somebody mentioned about personality. And I want to really make this distinction between personality and character and connect it to authenticity. Many struggle because they are required to shift their personality as circumstances demand. Does not make you inauthentic. When I go to the funeral and I'm all sad or happy, depending on the funeral, right? I'm being authentic because that's what the funeral demands of me, right? But when I go to the wedding, I'm joyful and cheerful, or sad, again, depending on the funeral, the wedding, right? I'm being authentic, in other words. So personality, it shifts with the situation. Doesn't make you inauthentic. It's about being appropriate. If I go and I'm all cheerful and crack jokes at the funeral and it's a sad funeral, I'm being inappropriate. So when we understand personality to be appropriateness, how you react in the circumstance, then you don't end up feeling inauthentic. What stays the same and where your authenticity does reside is in your character. This is where it matters, right? Your character is inviolate. It's your conscience, it's your integrity, it's your authenticity, it's your character that determines your authenticity. Yes, this is where it lies, the key, not your personality. Personality is something that changes depending on whatever you need, right? So this is a big shift and a big difference to understand. And so we don't get in trouble with authenticity where we're trying to stay and be the same all the time. That's not going to work. Our personality needs to have that fluidity and flexibility and adaptability to enable us to be appropriate in the circumstances. Character, no, that's inviolate. Yes?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Sil. And I think there's something similar to what I was thinking about the other day to do with personality, is that I learned to be nice. I wasn't always nice. I learned to be nice. And then I discovered it wasn't that I was horrible. Yeah, I could be rude sometimes, but I learned to be nice and I learned the benefits of it. And I realized it filled me with joy, you know, and it was part of who I was and something I hadn't really learned before. So, yeah, I just that's personality. And there's, you know, it's something I've learned, but it's something I really enjoys. And I would say it is my authentic self because it always fills my heart. So, Paul.
Yeah, something that Anna said reminded me of the conversation that you and I had live a couple of Mondays ago when someone asked a question about identity. And I think someone asked something similar. I think Ron was talking about different labels in terms of like respective roles. I think sometimes people think about like who they are authentically, like, oh, I'm going to run out of chance, excuse me, put myself back in. people often think about like who they are authentically as, again, it's like we talked about before, it's a list of labels. You know, people talk about themselves in terms of their job role, their hobby, their gender, their, you know, sexuality, profession, all these different things as they think is that's who authentically they are. They're just a shifting group of concepts, labels, ideas that we placed upon ourselves and we give meaning to. You really want to find out who you are authentically or real at your core. So it comes down to your core values, your core qualities, the way you see the world. So if I was to talk about myself as being authentic, again, using that word, being real, it would be compassion. It would be generosity. It would be creative. That's who you are, your absolute core. And if you really want to get in touch with this thing that we're calling your authentic self, is to ditch all of those labels, man, woman, you know, tall, short, fat, thin, I don't know, psychiatrist, whatever, strip all those away and then come down to the very core of who you are, who you operate at all times. Generosity, compassion, forgiveness, kindness, whatever those things are. You come down to that, then you'll find more of who you are, more of your authentic self, and you'll strip away all those false ideas you have.
Thank you, Paul. Yeah, and great points there. Rita.
Yes, I totally agree, Paul. And I think it's more about also stripping off all the labels that your parents have put on you from their minds. And I also realize a lot of people trying to manipulate. And they don't ask questions. They say, oh, this gonna happen, this gonna happen. And especially when I did this trip this last year to change my timeline, I had to quit all of the heads because it was too much ego around me, knowing about my life. And it's like, oh, that's going to happen, that's going to happen. And I couldn't talk to anyone it's sometimes I had to block everything because it's too much minds. Also then I had the possibility to observe my feelings. Was this right? Or was this, where did this come from? Did this fit for me? No. For me, this has been a huge experience because it's even people I trusted very, very much will help me much, but I had to say, bye-bye, sorry. Your manipulation, I'm not interested. I have free will, I have my choices, and if something feels bad for me, I don't do it. So why put your mind in my journey? It's not good. So I think to observe the stuff around you, if people actually are interested in you, to know who you am, who are you? What can I do for you to help you? What you need? Or do they put their own mind in your journey? Because I was growing up with two strong minds and I had to peel it off to find myself, and I'm not interested in ego minds anymore. So to be your own mama and papa and also find that inner child is divinity for me. So hopefully we all get there, but it's a lot of minds out there, and to recognize if it's good or bad, if it fits you, if it helps you for your journey, if it uplifts you or put you down, have been very important for me. And my feelings don't lie, never. My feelings is my feelings. So people, even if I ask them right away, are you lying for me? And they say, no, 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 and comes with a lot of explanations, but my feelings don't lie. So, yes, to be yourself is so important, because you are the only one who know, the only one who know. And I don't want other people's mind or experiences making bullshit in my mind. So and for me, I'm not from this planet. I'm just having a human experience, and I'm a potential energy. I am potential energy, like all of you. And what you choose to do with that energy is up to you. So if you put it in bullshit, or you put it in your dreams, that's also up to you. So, but the energy is always changing. It's changing, like the water, like the fire. So
Brilliant. Yeah.
It's to navigate everything. How does it feel? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So just to say, I'm just having a technical issue that all the keyboards on my computer have stopped working, and I have two. So I don't know what that is. Let's hope my computer doesn't die next. So I can't respond to any more chat comments at the moment. Yeah, so Anna.
Thank you, Matt. I wanted to go back to something that Sil said about how our personality adapts to the situation. I like to think of meeting people in their BS, meaning in their belief systems, because being authentic doesn't mean that you have to impose your BS, your belief system, on somebody else. So for me, it's all about respect. And what does it mean to show respect? Is to meet people where they're at. You cannot change people, and you cannot make them like who you are. We're all on social media, and as content generators, we get all kinds of comments, and sometimes you get really nasty responses and comments from people who want to call you out on your BS. And you can react to it and tell them, no, that's not true. You're an asshole. But you don't have to. I found that the best way to show your authenticity is to show respect for everybody and basically say, well, thank you for your opinion, and move on. You don't have to change people to prove that you are who you are. So yeah, respect is really important, because when you show respect for somebody, whether they're worthy of respect or not, you also show respect to yourself. And that is part of authenticity. Thank you. I just wanted to add that.
Awesome. That's awesome, Anna. Thank you. Sil.
Wonderful. Got 3 more points. 3 A's this time. Application and application and application, right? Application is so huge. Why is it so important when it comes to authenticity? Because how do we get to prove to ourselves that we are being authentic? How do I know I'm being authentic? Only through application, through doing, through being real, through putting it into practice. I can think I'm being authentic, I can feel I'm being authentic, but I got to do it to know it's for real. So the application is absolutely essential to authenticity, to impeccability. Has to be, absolutely has to be. It's really critical. So you got to go out and do it. You got to go out and apply it. Got to apply that application. Got to do it. Very key. So I want to add on one little furtherance to what Anna said in terms of respect, as it's implied in what you're saying. When we are giving respect, it's due respect. We don't just give respect blanketly and all willy-nilly and just because. No, it's due respect. That's me being authentic. Like sort of in gangster world, you've got to respect the gangsters. No, sorry, I don't respect you. You're a freaking gangster, right? But if you force me to give you the respect, how real is that respect? It's not. You're being forced to do it. It's just BS.
Yeah.
So to me, it's due respect, not just giving blanket respect. Yeah.
I think that's
Very
a really
important.
good
Be
point. And I
authentic.
think maybe gangsters is a good example. I think some teachers and parents rule in similar
Exactly.
ways through fear as well.
Exactly.
So
Yep.
yeah, okay,
Yes,
share.
bullshit.
BS, yeah, share.
Okay, yeah. I had my hand up earlier and so many people were saying so much of what I was going to say. It's like, okay, I'll just put it down. There's no sense in repeating, but that's not being authentic to myself. So I want to say this still. I'm going to add on to your application something I rarely do, which is to apply, we have to be present in the moment. We have to be present. If we're not present, we can't apply. So for me, back to me, my authenticity, I love this when I just thought about this. We're the authors of our story. We're the captain of our ship. Because of that, that makes us each the authority. So when people are asking, what is authenticity? We got to answer that for ourselves. And the only way we can answer that for ourselves, to me, is, are we being present? Are we being mindful? Are we thinking about who we are, what we want to say, what we want to do in this moment? So it always goes back to being appropriate. Are we appropriately applying our authenticity? So that's
Brilliant.
where my mind works.
Yeah, I love it. And so I mean, that kind of leads on to my next question. So how can we identify what are some common barriers to authenticity and how can we overcome them? And I really apologize to everyone. I can't even paste that in the comments because my mouse has stopped working, my keyboard stopped working, everything. So we're just gonna have to wing it now.
Overwhelm for your keyboard.
Yeah,
your
my
computer.
computer's got overwhelmed now. I've just got a left button on the mouse. So Gabe.
Yeah, that's a really good question, Matt. You know, the barriers that people impose on themselves are learned barriers. Again, based on my experience, it's all about emotions, you know, at a root cause. And our ego is one of the biggest barriers that we have. You know, people have difficulty on learning dishonesty, sadness, selfish, you know, stress, hate, you know, language, you know, bullying, impatience, ignorance, greed, arrogance. You know, these are all part of the ego. So that's a huge barrier to authenticity. If we could get past our own little nuances and start to really just thrive internally, you know, become you, love your life, live your life, you know, with the positive side of the ego, the other side of the ego, which is, again, honesty, love, compassion, gratitude, appreciation, you know, forgiveness, loyalty, you know, strength. That's what's going to get us there. The ego is a big barrier. You want to be able to get that out of your system because there's no need for it. That's wearing a mask. Take the mask off and I get to see the day. Start really becoming who you really are meant to be, which is a nice person. And why wouldn't you want to be nice? A lot of people don't know how to be nice because we don't know how to unlearn the ego. And that's what we do. Everybody here teaches everyone in one way or another how to get past yourself, get past the man in the mirror, because that's your ego. And then when you get to see authenticity, you get to really start to love your life that much more. That's my take on a barrier.
Oh, brilliant. So John.
Yeah, just very quickly, I think you know, we're encouraged to need external validation, and a lot of people who have troubled lives or strain or, you know, problems of any kind tend to start looking for the validation from outside. But as soon as we do that, then we want, you know, the quick response of people saying, "Oh, that's good, you did a good job," and they don't really care, but you know, so by getting rid of that need for external validation, a little bit of authenticity will then lead to even greater authenticity in build up like a snowball.
Brilliant. Thank you. Anna?
So I can only speak from experience. What are the barriers to authenticity for me? I have found that the biggest barrier that comes up periodically is self-doubt. When I'm feeling, overwhelmed, like your keyboard, like a computer, how do I react to that? How do I respond to that? And it's not easy when you're doubting yourself. It's really hard to be authentic. So what I found that I need to do for myself is to stay curious, and then to use my creativity. Stay curious, to investigate. Why am I doubting myself? Am I listening to other people's opinions of me? Am I feeling like I am coming short of my skills? Do I have enough skill to deal with this situation? And once I use my curiosity to investigate, usually I realize there is no reason for me to doubt myself, because I am in becoming mode, meaning I am not a complete work of art. I am working on my self-portrait. So when things come up that are obstacles to my trajectory, I want to know what those things are, and I want to investigate and explore them and see what I can use to overcome them. That's where creativity comes into place. When you are confronted with an obstacle, you can find ways to either go around it, under it, over it, or just through it. Yeah, so that for me, it's self-doubt is one of the biggest obstacles to my authenticity. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Yeah, great point. Brenda.
Yeah, for me, my barriers, I think, were not wanting to change. I didn't want to change from who I was. I don't know, I guess I didn't like who I was eventually. And I wanted to become somebody else. And I thought, this isn't who I wanted to be originally. And I didn't like, I'd become angry and sarcastic to people. And that wasn't me. And I didn't know how did I get here? So I found through shamanic energy healing that some people had helped me. But that's one option, or yoga, meditation, deep breathing, Tai Chi, Qigong. There's so many ways out there. And basically, I had seen a TED Talk by Jill Bolt Taylor. She's a brain scientist, and she did a TED Talk where she talks of being in your left hemisphere, analytical, and you need that to work and function. And my Qigong teacher had told me about that is your monkey mind. That is something that where the fear and anxiety is in the monkey mind, telling you don't do this, you're gonna have bad things happen, and this is where the fear resides. And you need to get into the right hemisphere with peace and love, and feeling ego is gone, and feeling connected to the universe. So there are many ways of doing that, and I think that helps you become more authentic. Because you're going into your body, into your heart, into your soul, and forget what other people have told you or what your belief systems were. It's a good way to find your new belief systems, to get that monkey brain, monkey chatter to quiet down for a little bit and search within, which people have said here. So that's how I changed me, and I just want to be calm and relaxed and more centered with nature.
Yeah, and you're looking very centered with nature there with your background. Sil.
Yeah, card collapse, crapola. Talking about barriers, right? Just like all the triples. So the barriers to authenticity. And if we think of authenticity in this, that we want to build a house. Oh, right, the house of self. Well, if I start to build my house with inauthentic materials like cards, then I'm going to have that card collapse crapola come back at me big time. So I've got to make sure that the parts of the self that I build with are all real, are all authentic. Each and every single little part. What's the barrier to that typically? Is the avoidance of the awful truth. This is the biggest barrier to being authentic that I see time and time and time again. This fear of the awful truth. Oh my God, I can't say, because I've been bullshitting. I've been inauthentic. I've done stupid things, idiotic things, bad things, even horrid things, as in the poem, right? This is a big deal. So now I don't want to face this. I don't want to deal with it. So I avoid it and I hide from it. Of course, this leaves me being inauthentic. I cannot be authentic until I faced and dealt with that awful truth. And you can ask many that have worked with me, Sher would be a champion on this. Where'd Sher go? Oh, but she'll tell you that once you really make that effort, you cross this barrier of the awful truth. You face it and you deal with it. It becomes the awesome truth. It's a profound thing. It's a profound thing because you've now let go of the barrier to authenticity, and you stop living in inauthenticity. And that barrier, that awful truth, is so huge, and it becomes awesome to live in authenticity. It's the most awesome thing ever. So yeah, the awful truth, massive barrier, huge.
Thank you, Sil. Priscilla.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Yeah, I think a common barrier to authenticity is comparison, right? You're comparing yourself to other people, kind of going along with what Anna said, self-doubt. I'm not good enough. I'm an imposter. And once we release that perspective, we're able to be more authentic, realize that I am a specific individual and I have specific gifts to share that no one else does, even though I've set that comparison. Well, I'm not quite that, where they are. I just think, yeah, that's a huge barrier, is comparing oneself to others. And once we stop doing it, realizing that we each have our own gifts, then we can really shine our light and be authentic in that way. So thank you for letting me share.
Yeah, thank you, Priscilla. It's a really good point, actually. I think I would guess we've all been there. I know I've been there. Rita.
Yes. On my journey, I have been, I don't know, it's to be understood. I think I've felt all my life that no one understands me. So to put out myself as all that I am is like, okay, there's no one there. If you understand, that have been my feeling. So but it took also a long time to understand that no one is me. No one had taken my journey. So yeah, the barrier of to be understood.
Brilliant. Thank you. That's a really good point. Jennifer.
I think that the biggest barrier to authenticity 100% of the time for all people is what is their motivation in that moment, and the fear that they will not attain a goal that they authentically crave if they act 100% authentically. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Motivation is the barrier. What's motivating you in that moment? Now we have to become mindful in that moment. What's motivating us? And do I want instant gratification, or do I want to play the long game? Well, it comes down to a balancing act. What will feel best for that individual in that moment when they choose? Because sometimes we can't always act authentically because there are moments that it's not socially acceptable. I mean, think about if all of us behaved in 100% authenticity all the time, if we said whatever we were thinking without taking the time to be kind or mindfully wording, phrasing our words, like Or sometimes, like, okay, a person might have this goal of getting a big promotion at work, and something might happen where they say their boss disrespects them in some way. Now their authentic self that wants to protect themselves and stay true to themselves might want to do something that will prevent them from reaching the goal of getting that promotion at their job. Do you understand? So then they have to be authentic to their long-term goal by being slightly inauthentic in that moment. Sometimes we have to make sacrifices, you know?
Mm-hmm. Really
It's-
good. Yeah, great points. Really like that.
you.
Paul.
I was just thinking of barriers to authenticity. It's really easy to be, it's easier, I'll rephrase that. It's easier to be authentic with a full belly. It's easier to be authentic when life feels a little bit easier. But part of me, and I'm loath to use this word, but I'm going to use it. There's almost an element, I feel, of like almost privilege to be able to sit here and say, you know, I'm being really authentic, and this is me being authentic, especially for people out there who, you know, I feel like I'm really fortunate. Like my life collapsed at exactly the right moment when exactly the right people just started showing up. Lots of people's lives collapse often feels for them on a daily basis. And often the healers, the teachers, and the guides don't show up. So they don't get an opportunity to go on some journey of growth at that time, or to buy a book or a program. And I know lots of people might say that, well, you know, if you really desperately want it enough, then, you know, that will show up. I sometimes think that some people's levels of desperation and what they need, food, shelter, etc., overrides that. And it's almost like looking at, and again, I'm not a huge believer in it, but Maslow's hierarchy of need. It's much easier to reach self-actualization. And that's what we're talking about in a way, to be authentic, like at the core of our being, who we are, this true self. It's easier to self-actualize when all of the other foundations are done, like, you know, shelter's taken care of, food, safety. And for lots of people, like being, and almost to follow up, and I'm really terrible with names, what Jennifer said, you know, I think for some people, it's easier to be authentic at other times, because sometimes being authentic in actual fact become a risk to ourselves and our safety. So I think one of the biggest barriers actually comes down to fear and actual fact survival. You know, if we were to authentically be ourselves in that moment, are we likely to risk being jailed? I can be authentically me here, but if I went to another country, I could be arrested for being authentically me. So again, there's an element of fear and survival when it's easier to be authentic, when it's safe to do so.
Yeah, brilliant points. I think so. Yeah. So Sil?
No alliteration this time, but protect and defend and excuse. Very big terms to follow on what Jennifer was saying. There's a massive difference between excusing the self, defending the self, and then protecting the self. When I'm defending the self, this is kind of a bullshit thing, because I'm making excuses essentially for what I am. But when I'm protecting the self, that's a very different thing, right? So if somebody's attacking me and they all bullshit, I don't need to defend myself. I can protect myself, yes, but I need to defend myself, because all I'm doing is giving legitimacy to their crap, right? And it simply says or reveals that I don't necessarily feel authentic and genuine. It's like, you know, I'm the third little piggy in my wonderful house, and the wolf is huffing and puffing and trying to blow my house down. Go ahead, wolf, you're going to wear yourself out. You're not going to get anywhere. If I try and defend that, well, then I'm not that much confidence in my house, because I've got to bolster that house of straw. So this is the value and the benefit of being authentic. And you don't have to go around defending and protect. You can protect yourself, but you don't have to go around defending yourself. And you don't have to make excuses for yourself, because if you're starting to make excuses, you're lost before you started. That's a very, very cool point that Jennifer brought up. Really awesome. Most excellent.
Thank you, Sil. Anna.
Yeah, what Jennifer and Paul and Sil have brought up for me is this. So how can you be authentic in difficult situations? When your survival depends on you playing a role that you are not quite keen on playing. And it brings up something that I've only come to terms in the last couple of years. So I'll give a very concrete example. I was a teacher for the public school system for about 20 years. And it was very difficult for me because I'm a creative person and the public educational system does not encourage creativity. So I was miserable. And that was the reason I retired, before I even turned 60, because I couldn't stand not being authentic in it. And what I realized lately is that I was fighting something that I did not need to fight. Meaning, I can play a role in an organization, but I can, because I need to eat. So here comes, what do you need to survive? You need to take care of your basic needs. And to take care of your basic needs, sometimes you have to do work in situations that are not quite accepting of your way of being. So what I realized is I can be in any situation. I can play any role that's required of me, as long as I understand that there are certain limitations, but I can overcome them by doing things the way it feels comfortable to me, right? So I can follow the rules, but I can do it my own way. So I'm actually about to go back to that exact system, that organization that's full of egos, full of red tape and, crazy constricting ways of dealing with children and students. And I can do it my own way. So I can still be authentic, but take care of my basic needs. If I just realize that I don't have to impose something that is not that in a place that doesn't have room for it. I can find ways, creative ways, to still be myself and work with the system. I think it was, so big reveal here. I have been an anarchist since I was 12 years old. And for me, anarchism is not the absence of order. It is the coexistence of different orders at the same time. So that means you take responsibility for yourself in a system that has different ways of being self-responsible. And one of the biggest anarchists in the world, and I can't remember his name now, and I'm mad at myself for that, he speaks of having a direction, having a goal for what you see as the ultimate harmonic way of living this life, and working with systems that are not perfect and not quite in the same direction. So you can't change the world in one day, but you can change it in small increments with your own authentic input within that system. I hope that made sense.
A lot of sense. Yeah,
Thank you
brilliant
again.
point. Thank you, Anna. Sil?
Anna, 3 magical words for you: appropriateness, and even more appropriateness. Yes, that's what it's all about. It's really what it's all about. It's really cool. So that's it. When we can be appropriate, then we can be flexible, we can adapt, and we can maintain our authenticity, because I'm being authentic to be appropriate, which means I change according to what's necessary. It's just so simple, So appropriateness. Can't emphasize that enough. Also wanted to just add and read some comments here. Bina's been making fabulous comments, and I really feel they need to be read. So Bina says, during the process of learning and growing, it's natural to check and recheck. We try to be accurate and precise in every aspect of our lives, but sometimes we lose the balance and fall into doubting ourselves. For me, the key is being deliberate and impeccable. What a profound, beautiful, poetic comment. Absolutely. And that barrier of self-doubt, oh, it's terrible. Why do we have self-doubt? Because we haven't built ourselves with authentic, real, genuine building blocks that are real, that are made our own, that are tried and proven, that are self-proven to ourselves. That's how we get to avoid that self-doubt, because we build something that's solid and real. And there's one more comment. Sorry, before we go, just cool
That's
comments.
fine.
I got to read it.
There are some really good ones. Yeah, I was going to mention it.
Yeah,
There's quite so many.
So
Good.
I'm focusing in on Bina right here. Being authentic doesn't mean being rude or losing connectivity with appropriateness. Capital A, appropriateness. Thank you, Bina. With appropriateness, authenticity. Sorry, with appropriateness. Authenticity is not a disconnecting mechanism. Yes, it's really huge. It's not a disconnecting, it's a connecting mechanism. It is a profound mechanism for appropriateness, authenticity.
Awesome.
Huge.
Yeah, and I'd like to just mention another one, and it's got some good reactions actually. So from Karen said, from her experience, a lot of youngsters get groomed in early years in a search for love and acceptance and learn to be unauthentic. And actually, I wrote down my answer here, and funny enough, it relates a little bit. And my issues with self-belief and self-acceptance. And so that led me to become very inauthentic in an authentic way, but I was doing things that weren't what I would have chosen, which I actually found that the self-doubt was what got me out of that, because I realized, so there is this double edge to self-doubt, is when we're not being authentic, the self-doubt is actually sometimes saying, hey, this isn't you. And we need to move on. And that's how I ended up accepting myself. And the root cause of it, really quickly, was a unresolved abandonment issue. So my father left when I was young. That's caused me not to believe in myself. And then he didn't show up a lot, and he kept letting us down. And it's like, you know, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me that caused me to not accept myself, to want to be accepted? And I kept being inauthentic to be accepted. And then the self-doubt actually saved me, because it's like, are you sure you want to be doing this? Brenda.
I love all the comments that everyone is saying about being authentic to yourself, even when you have to change to certain situations and not be rude. And I think once you take this journey that we've all taken, you get a lot of self-love and self-confidence. And maybe you're going to change your circumstances someday, or change your career path or something. But when you become authentic and you work on yourself, you get this self-love, self-confidence, and power, and you learn about your talents and your skills and things like that. So it's an amazing process, and everybody deserves to try that journey and find their authentic self.
Yeah, absolutely. Sil, and then I'm going to quickly ask the final question, I think.
I just wanted to comment on what you said about self-doubt, the flip side. Yes, self-doubt is it totally inhibits authenticity. On the other hand, when your self-doubt is connected to capital H, humility, now it becomes a power, because it keeps you real. You're not running away with yourself. The self-doubt says, I'm not going in the other direction in terms of overestimating rather than underestimating. So self-doubt can be an incredible power tool, huge power tool. Real quick, Amanda Louise has been making really marvelous comments as well. And she says, we can be authentic, but it doesn't mean we have to say everything we think. Authenticity without wisdom might not be a good idea. Having the wisdom to know what to say and when to say it is absolutely essential, vital, and absolutely integral to everything. Yes, Amanda Louise. In other words, I'm just going to be me, and I'm a load of crap, and I'm going to excuse this being me. No, that's not being authentic. That's just you flouting and indulging in your crap. Sorry. Keep it to yourself. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Sil. And thank you for reading all the comments. I love the way we're working together as a team right now. It's really beautiful and very creative as well and co-creative. So I think I'm going to try and tie the last two questions together so we don't go over the 2 hours. So what are some practical tips and techniques for cultivating self-awareness and self-acceptance? And how can we navigate social and cultural pressures once we become ourselves and more self-aware and accept ourselves? You know, how do we go through those things and navigate the social and cultural pressures that we have to conform? So cultivating self-awareness and acceptance. So mine was ask questions. I've asked myself a lot of questions until I found out more about myself, and kept looking for the answers until I found an answer that felt good. And so Anna. Yeah.
I didn't expect to be first. I was thinking about, so how can we practice authenticity? I've been thinking about this. I think it's Netflix series that I'm loving so much. It's called Poker Face. It's with a really fantastic actress. Because it reminds me of the fact that I have a terrible poker face. Everything I think and feel shows in my face. I can't hide it. If I try to hide it, I look stupid. So I have to go back to, you know, so how can you cultivate this? I have to go back to the 3 C's: curiosity, compassion, and courage. Curiosity to, you know, investigate who you are at every instant in your life. Compassion to accept the things that you cannot change. Compassion to accept that you are not perfect. Compassion to you know, love yourself through every situation, every experience that you have in your life. And courage to meet yourself where you are in every moment. And you know, you can do this very concretely by using mirror work. I do this with myself, and I do this with anyone that I work with, to get up every morning and, in your beautiful morning nakedness, look in the mirror and look in your eyes and see what's behind your eyes, which is your authentic self, your beautiful, beautiful, loving heart, and say to yourself, I love you as you are and as you are becoming. So curiosity, compassion, and courage. And just keep moving, just keep trying, just keep loving, because life is about this, is about finding out what's there, what's behind every instance that comes up in life, and how you present yourself, how you show up. Because life is not about the destination. It's about showing up in your way, on your way to that you desire the most, which is just being yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Really, really love that. And Paul, you were next.
Oh, hello. I think in terms of how we find that self-awareness, I always like to think, like, if I'm going to show up somewhere, who's the version of me that I want to have show up? And we can do this. Who do you want to be when you show up to that place? And then think of the first 2, 3, 4 stories that you begin to tell yourself about why you can't show up as that version of yourself, whatever those barriers, those blocks might be. And then take one of them and begin to explore, like, what's the story you're telling yourself there? Where does that come from? And it comes down to using tools like shadow work, and inner reflective practice, things like inner child healing, to really explore the depth of where this story comes from. And one of the things I say to my clients, like, all the time, is it true? Is it real? And when they say, yeah, okay, well then where's the proof? And then that's the point when we start coming unstuck with these stories that we tell about ourselves. We want to develop greater self-awareness, start exploring all of the barriers that you put up in the way of you showing up with this being authentic, this version of whoever you are. It comes down to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. And Brenda.
Hi, I recently took a free ending self-sabotage course, and the homework for getting prepared for it was to make a list of our talents, skills, gifts, which lead into the strengths and values that Matt's talking here. So I Googled what those words meant and their meanings and different words that would explain it. And then I made a whole list, and I thought, wow, how amazing and powerful and talented and skilled I am, and help bring out, the real me instead of what maybe other people have projected on me or limiting beliefs people had put on me. I'm like, no, I am like that. I'm heart-centered, I'm compassionate. And it helped me really fill that whole page almost with like, oh my God, like what transformation I've had over the years that I've been working on myself. And so I think that's a really good self-reflection tool, a really easy one. And Paul had been talking about his shamanic work. So in my shamanic work, we do meeting your authentic self. So you actually go into a ceremony to meet your actual soul and talk to it, and power retrievals to get your power back, and meet your inner child, and heal things that have happened to you at 3, 5 years old, things like that, so that you don't take them with you on this journey to really go and go deep into yourself. And so that's just one way that I did my journey. So I thought I would just share that. So I'm just pleased with all the different ways people are talking about how to have this journey. And it's amazing once you start it, and we're all here to help anybody.
Thank you. Yeah, awesome, Brenda. Yeah, I think it's true. It's really crucial point is you can go back and you can heal those wounds, because they are just attachments to the past. You're not actually still living that moment. Rita.
I remember when I did my shamanic school, we were actually drawing the ghost on the back, to actually see what's keeping you down. How does this, call it the ghost, the monster, how does it look like? And when you get to know this stuff, or what it is that keeps you down with details, you get to know it. And it also keeps you away from fearing it, and to put it in the fire, to get rid of it. And another thing is also to be proud of yourself. See how far you have come, all these obstacles you actually have been through. So yeah,
Absolutely, really good points. I think you can be proud of yourself for just asking, who am I, and looking inwards. It's even that is something that many people don't start to do, and it's a good enough reason. Still, sorry.
Be proud.
Sure. Be proud.
Yes.
Yeah. Still,
yeah, hard to be proud without being authentic. Kind of impossible. I mean, real, genuine pride, not BS pride, like just in artificial accomplishments, but really to feel good about yourself, to have that deep sense of real pride. Can't do it without authenticity. Absolutely key. Don asked a really huge, critical, essential, key core question. How can we practice authenticity? It's no good understanding what it is and the importance and the barriers, but how do we practice it? How do we put it into application? In other words, right, Don? Application. Well, the way we do so is, of course, by being deliberate, by paying attention to every little thing you do. Oh, you say, yeah, but I kind of forget. And well, In order to do that, you first have to deal with your habits, because habits are programs which have, by intent, they are deliberate unawareness programs. So they cause us to be unaware, which cause us to do all sorts of stuff that we have no intent of doing and we absolutely do not want to do. So therefore, we need to pay attention to habits before we can be authentic. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. You're just going to get caught up in bubble and another bubble and another bubble, and you're just going to live this life of nincompoopery, and you're going to get nowhere. Very hard to be authentic when you're in a bubble of nonsense and idiocy and foolishness and nincompoopery. So habit management, absolutely critical to get there. And that is a whole big long story, as Matthew's about to find out. So we'll keep you apprised.
Yeah, I am. And I'm loving the nincompoopery as well. So
yeah,
on that note, I think that's a perfect time to end the show. We've had some really practical tips there from everybody. So just to recap a bit of the show, because there was so much depth. I mean, literally, I felt like my head was exploding every now and then with the amazing experiences and wisdom that were being shared. So authenticity is about being true to yourself, being courageous enough to be wrong, to be honest, to be you, having the curiosity to dig deep, being compassionate with yourself. Authenticity provides coherency. You're able to learn and grow with authenticity. It keeps us where we belong in our life. It attracts other authentic people. It creates a deepening level of intimacy. It feels good. And I think that's one of the things, is authenticity feels good. Authenticity doesn't trigger you. You know, authenticity doesn't hurt you. So to be authentic, you must go within to do the shadow work. So start asking questions today. Ask yourself and look for the answers. And really, that's the best way to do it. So thank you, everybody, for the amazing comments. I am so sorry I wasn't able to respond to most of you because my keyboard has decided to stop working. But I'm glad that the other members were all there, and it's been such an amazing show. We will be back next Thursday, and I'll let you know what we're talking about later this week. So a bit of suspense for a change. So anyway, have a great rest of your week.